My name is Judy Fox, and I serve as the program manager for the Los Angeles Regional Consortium, also known as LARC, which represents 19 community colleges across the Los Angeles region. I also have the pleasure of co-leading the LARC AI Task Force with Chair and Assistant Vice President of LARC, Dr. Narne McKeegan. Today's AI Professional Development session, Tools for Educators, AI in Retail, Hospitality, and Tourism Careers, is made possible through the coordination and vision of LARC's AI Task Force. Leading today's hands-on session are Eduvator's Technical Director, Dr. Raina Walsinger, and Managing Director, Marcy Drummond, who will guide you through how AI is being used across the retail, hospitality, and tourism careers, and how to translate those practices into meaningful lessons and learning outcomes for your students. Retail, hospitality, and tourism is also one of LARC's 8 regional priority industry sectors, and that's based on employment demand in the middle skill careers that provide a living wage and above. You will find today's professional development session and more in the LARC AI Learning Library, and we will be sure to drop that link in the chat. So please turn your camera on if you can and get ready for a fun, informative, and interactive session. And with that, I turn it over to Eduvators to get today's professional development started.
Well, good morning, everybody. We made it to Friday. I'm sure a lot of you were panicking yesterday, like I was on the whole Canvas thing. So actually, Canvas is the actual icon disappeared on where I work. So I'm just going to ignore it for now. And we're going to instead do this today. But if there's questions, happy to answer those as well. So let's get started. Today's exciting, as we know in LA, this is a huge area, and we have some really cool demos for you today, and hopefully you'll hop on and do demos with us. We have a lot of interactive material today to share with you and for you to share with us. So before we do introductions, we'd like to get to know you a little bit. So if you could put your name and your role and your department or subject area and your AI experience level into the chat, that'd be awesome. And hi, Marcy.
Good morning. Good morning,
Good
everyone.
morning.
Yes, thank you, LARC, for hosting this. Happy to be here. So yeah, we definitely want to tailor. We have lots of examples. So we wanted to tailor the examples we use today to represent your programs, your disciplines, what you teach. So if you could take the time to put this in the chat, it'd be very helpful to us.
All right. Hey, Victor. Oh, man.
And also, we kind of want to gauge your level of AI use because we also want to tailor that. We have things for people who have never or rarely used it to people who use it all the time.
Okay. All right, awesome.
Very helpful.
All right. So today, our objectives are to help you with AI skills that students need in this, and we're going to contextualize it, of course, for this area. So it should be fun together, preparing students for AI changes, of course, faculty and staff AI integration. I know there's a lot of trainings and actually summer camps and all kinds of workshops going on for that, gearing up for the fall, and a lot of hands-on demonstration activities. And we have a resource drive where there's a lot of documents, there's a lot of prompts and examples, and we tried our best to make them accurate, but there are some example prompts, and you can use those to kind of make your own and go from there as well. But there's a lot of material in that resource drive.
One thing I'll say is I'm seeing this resource drive is really tailored. All the examples in there are tailored to this pathway. I'm seeing that we have people who are in multiple discipline areas. So I'm going to give you a link to a folder in the drive that has all the disciplines that we've done workshops on with LARC over this winter and spring. So that's what I'm going to put in the chat right now. So if you go in there, you'll see there's folders for each pathway, and you can find your, the pathway you're interested in besides this one in there.
Yeah. Also, if you want other examples besides retail hospitality and tourism today, just chime in and we'll hop on and do some of those as well. So is our introduction slide in here? Maybe I passed it.
No.
Okay.
It's not. But we can introduce ourselves.
Yeah, we'll do the 15-second intro.
Yeah, so all I say is I've worked in community colleges for several decades, mostly as an administrator, but I've done some teaching in other roles as well. And then I've also worked in philanthropy for education at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and at the ACT Foundation. And then my background's in management information systems, so working with computers back in the day when we used to even use punch cards. So to see AI now from going from punch cards to AI has been very transformative. That's it.
All right. Hey everybody, Dr. Rena Walsinger. I'm currently part-time teaching down in South Orange County and writing curriculum and Coast around all kinds of things, technology. At Coast, they're introducing AI finally in non-extended, non-credit. And I think that'll take a year to go through curriculum, but we'll see what happens. But everybody's working on that kind of stuff. So my background in this is really specific. At Eon Reality, I was training all of the Sandals corporations to use AI and AR, VR to do training for all of their staff and managers. So, and it's a very successful program, and they're still using it on an ongoing basis currently. But my background's in education and bioengineering for that. All right, so I'll hand it to you, Marcy.
Since most people have used it regularly, you probably already know this. It's not going to transform what you do, but it definitely gives you back time, gives you the ability to do things that are not your forte. That's what I use it for. For example, I tend to be very verbose when I write. It's very difficult for me to come up with like blog posts that are really succinct, and I like to write a lot. So AI just helps you, sort of do the things that are difficult for you or take too much time for you to do and do it much easy. And then the other thing I use it for, which is on this list, is to things that I do repeatedly, like repetitive tasks. It helps me streamline those and even automate them, which is really helpful as well. So in essence, hopefully it frees everybody up to spend more time on doing what really matters to them. And since we're talking to instructors, that's really working directly with students and on improving teaching.
Right. One other thing I just want to mention, like even during class, when students have questions, I started teaching them how to generate their own help guides and infographics. There's a lot of fun things that you can do together using this technology during class, and actually frees me up to have more time to improve my modules when Canvas is working.
So we have this in this deck, there's a lot of links. So the drive doesn't necessarily, like, this kit isn't in the drive that I shared with you. So be sure to get the deck, because if you're missing anything in that drive, there's links to it in the deck. And I did put a link to this PowerPoint deck that we're using. But this AI starter kit, this is meant for people who have never used AI, and it gives you 5-minute little exercises you can do to kickstart your AI use.
So in this AI world, we have a bunch of tools. The ones that schools are rolling out, or you may already have, are Gemini EDU. Should be rolled out for most people by fall. Some schools aren't going to roll it out, to be honest. So it depends on the school. Copilot is the other one, and has a lot of features to do the stuff. We'll show you how to do things in both today. You may be using other tools as well. So those are usually behind your single sign-on somewhere at your school. So Google AI for Education, I'm going to be using it a lot today. In fact, I made 3 example agents this morning in there using vibe coding for this workshop. They're really fun, but it has a shield on it, meaning it's safe to use. It's not going to share information anywhere or train on it. It's compliant for HIPAA, and all of that to use. If you're using your own Google Pro, that is not going to have the little shield on it. The shield's right in the chat box. It's a little green shield chat box. So you can do make agents, do regular chats. You can use voice chat. You can make gems, which are little custom agents similar to PlayLab or Nectar, but you can do it in Gemini as well and use all those for anything that you want or for classes. This is just another environment. So remember, when you're using Gemini, you're also connected to your institution's entire Google Workspace most of the time. They don't all work like that. This is the way that one of the schools I work at does it. So you have access to Gemini, but all the other Google tools. And if I had scrolled down a little bit, Notebook LM is in there as well. So that is part of that Google environment, meaning that notebook that you make is going to connect to your Gemini, and you can use it as a repository input. So it can kind of be like Google Drive, where you have all this information in your notebook. Then you can use the chat to ask questions about it. It's all connected. So this is what Gemini looks like. All the things that I'm doing are saved on the left side. Sometimes I delete stuff that I don't want. Maybe I ask a temporary question or I just don't want it there. And it has a bunch of tools. And then it has different modes, fast, thinking, and pro. So depending on how long you want it to think through something. And sometimes it automatically switches, but that's a very important one to remember, because if you get answers that you don't like, it might be that you need to switch that mode to something that's going to think a little bit longer. And oh, you can see the shield there. That little shield that's right before enter a prompt for Gemini. That's the same safety shield that Microsoft uses, meaning everything is compliant for education and going to stay within the environment. All right, see this one?
Yeah, so the reason why, again, we're showing you Gemini and Copilot is because these are tools that you should have access to through your institutions. And just like Gemini is linked to your G Drive and all the Google related apps, Microsoft is the same way. It's connected to your OneDrive and all of the Microsoft apps. So they're all integrated in one environment with your with the Copilot agent. For example, this morning I was trying to book a meeting. I said, look at my calendar, find 4 times in the next week that I can meet with somebody between this hour and this hour, and send them an email and put holds on my calendar. So that's the beautiful thing about Copilot. It looked at everything, it looked at Outlook, it looked at, and it did it in 2 seconds. It was amazing. And it sent the email. And then there's notebooks in there, which will show you an agent. So it's got a lot of capabilities, just like Gemini does. And just like Rena said, look for the shield. That means it's compliant for FERPA, HIPAA, all of that. So the data that you're using stays within a secure environment as long as you're signing in with your college ID or whatever, or school ID, whatever ID and login you're issued by your institution, it will remain secure.
Just a little tip. So like if you have, some of you might have more than one account for like Gemini or whatever. So if you're using Chrome or whatever browser, if you make another sign in with your school, then you can put all your apps for your institution in one browser. And then you won't get as confused between which version you're using. That's the way I do it anyways. So this is what my school Copilot looks like. So if I had clicked on my name on the bottom, which I'll show you live pretty soon, see the school address, and then it has a little bit different stuff than the business version. So we have Teach, which has a whole bunch of things on curriculum and quizzes and things that you can create for teaching. It does have agents, which we're going to show you today. I actually made one this morning for customer service, but that's the one everyone's using at work. So when you go to a job and someone's like, let's make an agent to look at customer complaints, it's going to be most of the time from this area right here in Copilot. So I've talked with, and you probably have too in your different business meetings, talking with people that are using this at work in this area. And the agents are the way that people make what's called artifacts or Canvas coding or vibe coding, but this is where it's done in Copilot in the agents area.
One more thing that I'll say is we are going to do things using both of these tools today. And we mentioned a lot of things. If it's not working, it's not because you probably aren't doing something right. Each institution puts in different security controls. So some features they may turn off. So we're going to show you the features that should be available to you. But if it's not working, you'll need to contact your supervisor or your IT department and say, hey, can this be enabled? Or is there a reason why it's turned off or something like that? So that's what we've been finding. Every institution is setting controls as to what you have access to. The tools, you do have capability of access to those tools, but you may not be able to given your role at your institution.
Right, and students even have different setup. So if you ask them to do something, just check first what they have available. They have a few less functions than the institution employee versions of all of these.
Okay, so we're going to be doing activities together. So if you could find a tool that you have access to, it could be Google Copilot or even Claude or ChatGPT or whatever it is that you use. If you could find it and open it up in a minute, we'll be putting in some links and prompts for you to enter into your tool.
All right,
So for those of you who are new to AI, this is a simple little universal prompt you can use to get started. And it's just like, I am teaching this topic to this level of students. So you could say, third semester culinary arts students in my professional baking course and give the course. And then just say, help me with a specific task. Again, if you're using ChatGPT or something that doesn't have that security shield outside of your institution, just remember, do not put in student names or IDs or anything that might be sensitive information into that chat. So that's a great little universal prompt for just getting started. Now we're going to have you try it with your tool. We have a beginner prompt and then an intermediate and a more advanced one. So choose your level. I'll put the prompts in the window. You can cut and paste the prompt and put in your own information and run it in your tool. And then we'll ask you how it worked for you here in a second. So here we go. So we're going to have you start with the prompt. And there you go. And I'll put in some examples as well. So this is the beginning one. Here's an intermediate one. And then I'll do an advanced one.
I found a little, I think I sent you an email, a little trick in class this week because we were teaching just a simple thing about modems. But if you want it to be personalized, if you take a picture of anything and you say include this in the output and you're going to turn this into like an infographic or anything, it'll add whatever elements from your picture into it. So Gemini is able to think about research and text and images all at the same time and put it together. I thought it was pretty mind-blowing this week. Does anybody want to share results, or you can unmute or paste in the chat, either way, and how this is working?
Yeah, it'd be great if you ran your prompt, if you would share we can either screen share and you can show us live, or just type what you got and what your feelings were about what you got as a result.
Hey, this is Christian here. Just so what I guess the prompt generated three things. Number one is instantly generate lesson materials such as slides. Number two is create assignments, case questions, and rubrics in minutes. And number three is speed up grading and student feedback, which I found interesting. I know that AI with that was interesting.
What tool did you use? I'm curious.
I used Copilot.
Okay. I ran the advanced prompt that we put in the window, and I'll show you what it looks like. So let me go up. So I took that exact prompt. So I was teaching culinary, and it gave me grading rubric, a kitchen disaster scenario, which I thought was interesting, and recipes and building math answer keys. And then I said, take the first example and create a handout. And that's what it did, which was the rubric one. And it did it in a matter of seconds. So it's just amazing how fast these things are.
Yeah, that's Copilot as well.
I did it in Gemini.
Oh, Gemini. Okay,
Yeah,
I've actually never used Gemini, but I'll give it a try.
I find that Gemini, like Rena said, Gemini is better if you want like images. The documents look, I think, are a little bit better than what I get out of Copilot, just in the way they look. So Gemini is really good at presenting the data that, like, if you want downloadable files, I find that it does a little better job than Copilot does.
I wonder if you change the model to Claude, if it gives you a different result.
Yeah, I can do one quickly in Claude just so we can see what that looks like.
I mean, if you use Copilot and then you're able to change it to Claude, like the newer one, it
Oh,
might
yeah.
give you a little bit different look. I'm not sure.
So do you have Copilot open, or you want me to show what you're talking about?
You can if you want.
Am I sharing my screen still?
Let's
I
see.
don't know.
Yeah, you are.
I am?
Yeah.
You're seeing,
I can see
you're
your
seeing
screen.
Copilot?
Yeah.
So, right here, it's choosing the model for you, but yes, she was saying you can use Claude. So it's defaulting probably to ChatGPT as the model that's generating your result. If you switch to Claude, you would get a better or a different, you'll definitely get a different response. And then if you choose auto, quick response, or think deeper, that's also going to change the results that you get in this little window right here. Okay, I'll stop sharing.
That little box is so like kind of hidden, like you wouldn't, like I
Yeah.
forget most of the time about it. Unless I don't like my result, I'm like, then I remember about the box.
But thank you for sharing.
Yeah, that's great.
Oh, we just did that sort of informally.
So here's the next one, to help students through thinking and not just get answers, which is really an important part about teaching and this whole change with AI being out there just as another tool and having them not overly rely on it. So there's a prompt there. I'm teaching, let's say, hospitality to community college students struggling with whatever topic, maybe customer service or something. Explain how to approach this systematically and what steps a student should take. So this is a good one. I actually like to use agents to do this, and I'll share that after we try this out. But think about what would be most helpful for your students, and it starts to change their thinking on how to help themselves learn when you do this a lot.
So I just put that prompt in the chat window if you want to cut and paste it and then enter your own information in there. And I'll put in an example. And I'll do a cosmetology example.
So I'll share mine first. I did kind of an advanced version of that in Gemini, but I switched it over to Canvas, which is their area to do an app or vibe coding, whatever. But I just said I'd like to make a practical customer service agent for a hotel reception. So I went through and thought about it, and I iterated a bunch of times. It did all of this stuff, and I got this grand educator plaza simulation. So I can pick a scenario. And this has been done in industry for a while, but it was expensive and hard to do. Now we can just do it ourselves, which is pretty phenomenal. So you can just begin your session and it'll start acting as the customer based on that scenario, and then I can answer back. So to I So it'll just go through and then it'll rank you at the end of it and give you like some constructive feedback on how to improve your customer service. So you can go through a very long conversation and then at the very end get an evaluation. So Gemini knows me, so it knows I'm in education and I want to have things like performance reports. So of course I didn't do anything yet. So it gave me a poor rating, but it gave me some growth areas. So it gives me like positive feedback, constructive criticism. So that's my little example of that I did in Gemini. And we all have that. When Gemini EDU rolls out, oh yes, I can share that. When Gemini EDU rolls out, you'll all be able to do things like this. Let me share I just made a simple prompt to start with in Gemini Canvas. So I'll put that in the chat. So I didn't even tell it to do much. What I usually do if I spend more time is I start with this, but then I paste that back into Gemini and I say, make a really great prompt starting with this idea that's because I'm going to make an app in Gemini, and then it'll make a much longer one. In fact, I'll do that.
You want to say something besides, you had certain settings you used. So it's not just
okay.
the prompt to get that output. You want to say something about that, or I can put it in the chat. You selected Canvas,
Oh, yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
If you could share that.
Yeah, and let me just show you how I started.
Otherwise, it'll give you a text, like what we're doing
Yeah,
right now gives you a text
just-
response.
I'll just start another one. So
Yeah.
there's these same like we just saw in Copilot, Fast Thinking Pro and then Ultra if you pay for that version. I usually start with thinking, and then usually if I'm gonna start with a prompt like that one, please improve or making a great app. So I'll start with my idea and then use this as kind of a thought partner before I go running on to, so you can see there's a lot more information here, a lot. So I can do all of that and paste it in there. But even this first part is perfect. So I can do a new chat. I'm going to now switch over to Canvas. And that tells me I'm going to make an app. I'm going to switch to thinking, put that new prompt in, and then let it run. And then we'll see what I get. So it's collaborating, making this app. It knows already I asked those questions before. It's bringing all that into the thinking. Hopefully it'll start coding something. If not, I need to reprompt it. So it looks like it's not going to be doing that. That's not what I want.
You got the create button there, up in the upper, where it says blue button. There you go.
Yeah, I should have been creating an app. So I'm just going to do this. Make the app. Sometimes it just gives me a bunch of the research and it doesn't flip over to making that. So there we go. That's what I was waiting for.
So the prompts we've been using so far, we're using settings where you're going to just get text results, not these interactive later, which she's showing you now too. We also do a little later in the workshop.
So those are the steps. And like I said, sometimes it just doesn't start coding. You just have to tell it to do it. So, and then at the end, you get a preview, and then you can start testing it. So you can see it's not as good as the other one I did for some reason. So I would, in fact, I can't even type in the box. So this one isn't working yet. The one I made, yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, the simpler prompt got you a better result.
It did. Actually, that's
Yeah,
really interesting.
yeah.
Just this, just that gave me a much better result, not that whole other thing. So, oh, or this one. I'd like to make a practice customer service agent for a hotel reception. That's all I typed, and it just went through and did it. Um, and it told me what it was going to do, and it did all of this stuff, and then it began session. So it did a much better result. And because it's doing the thinking and it's not getting confused trying to include everything, and it really responds really nicely. And you have your box to respond below. And if you wanted to get more creative, you could probably attach a microphone and do this with talking as well. You just tell it, I want to do talking instead of typing, and it'll add that function. Okay. Hopefully that
Okay.
makes sense. Okay.
Shall we go to the
Yeah.
So here's some more resources for you to try. Again, there's a AI power moves. We'll show you two of the power moves in a minute here. Are some great things that'll get you started using AI. Beyond that first toolkit is just sort of really simple, like we've been doing, simple prompts. The quick start guide goes a little bit deeper into some other applications you can use for creating resources for teaching. And then we have some examples by subject. And then we have, for those of you who want to get more sophisticated about your prompting, we have a prompter's playbook, and there's a link to that as well. Okay, so in that power move, the very first one is Notebook LM. The great thing about Notebook LM is you do have access to it through your Google account, through your institution, or you can sign up for Notebook LM for free. The nice thing about Notebook LM is you put gates around what resources you want it to use. So you upload the resources, and what it builds is just based on those resources only. So it enables you to put some guardrails around what's being created. And then you can go into learning guide mode, which actually automatically sets it in a mode where it's acting like a tutor. And it, again, just tutoring you based on the materials you're telling it to use for that tutoring. And then there's lots of outputs, which I'll show you in a minute. There's also a chat mode and a lot of features in the studio. So let me open a quick there's two very simple things I like to use Notebook LM to do. Let me share my screen. The first one is, and I did it for culinary arts. Let me find another one. Is you can just upload your you can just upload your syllabus to get started. So all I did is I have a sample syllabus here, and there are two things I like to use it for, is to curate resources. So I can just say search the web for new sources. So I could say find Creative Commons materials I can use for week 3. So it's gonna, I don't even know what's in week 3. So, but it'll go out and it'll find things on the web with a Creative Commons licensing that I can pull into my courses. So this is a great, because I spend hours curating resources, and you can see here's the things I'll just view. There they all are. It automatically selects them, but I could go and look at each one and then pick and choose which ones I want to add to my course. Because this is a Google product, it also looks on YouTube, so it'll find videos, and so it's great for just curating resources. Then the other thing I like to use Notebook LM, a simple little use, is to create an orientation for my class. So again, I've uploaded the syllabus, and these are things I usually want to do in an orientation. So I created a student handbook based on the material that's in the syllabus. So again, it's basing Notebook LM, you put the guardrails around it. So the only document I have in here is my syllabus. So everything it's creating is based on the information that's in the syllabus. And I did a checklist, a video, welcome video, that's that, and an audio file, which looks like this one. And let me just show you in the studio how these all work. So you have all these options. Every single one of them you can customize. So if you click on the arrow, you'll see that I can choose the length. This is for an audio file, so I can go from a deep dive to brief to tweak. It's kind of like a podcast style video. I can put in a prompt as to what I want this audio file to sound like. I said podcast video, podcast show or audio. It's automatically based on my syllabus. It's suggesting some things here, and if I hover over those, it's going to pull in an automatic prompt in here. You can choose different languages for all of these resources. You have, it was up to 80 languages. It's probably more by now. And then how long you want the audio file to be. And so for this one, I'll show you the prompt I used. Here's the prompt. I said, oh, that's for a deck, the audio file prompt. View custom prompt. So I said, act as a success coach in 2 minutes or less, give students a flight plan for the first 3 weeks of the class. And that's what it generated, a podcast based on that. Here's the PowerPoint option. Same thing, just click on the arrow, tell it whether you want it to be detailed or presenter, short. The default is somewhere, typically around 10 to 12 slides. And then you type in what you want the deck to be about. And here's what I typed in. You'll see my prompt. I said, create an 8-slide PowerPoint design for a first day orientation, what I wanted the tone to be. And again, I'm using this flight plan sort of theme. So I'll show you what that looks like, what it generated. The nice thing about the PowerPoints is you can edit them. So let me make that big. Right up here, you can do revise. So let's say I want to repurpose this for fall semester. I can go in there and say, change spring semester to fall semester. I'm putting it in quotes because I wanted to use this exact language, and then I can do regenerate, and it'll regenerate this slide. So you can make edits to the slide decks. You can't yet make edits to other files. So that's a disadvantage of it. You've got to download it and pull it into whatever editing tool you use to make those edits. The other disadvantage of Notebook LM is the materials are not accessible. But in our guide, we tell you how to download them and then ask in Gemini or Copilot or another AI tool to create an equally accessible version. So I could download this PowerPoint and say, can you create an equally accessible version of this PowerPoint file as a Word document or something like that? And it works really well. All of these, I've done that with all these formats. The other great one is an infographic. It makes incredible infographics. So again, you can choose language, the orientation you want, the style you want, or it will, based on your prompt, it'll pick, auto select what it thinks is the best format, the level of detail in the prompt you want to use again. And do I have one in here?
Yeah, there's one. I have one too.
Yeah. Okay. You want to share yours? You probably did this is a simple one. I wanted it simple, and that's what it made.
I like that how it's all in the theme.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll stop sharing and you could show yours.
Sure.
Let me make this big.
This is such a fun tool. I never get tired of it. So I kind of treat it like Google Drive combined with everything else I usually do. I used to do it all in Microsoft. Whoops. Messed up my sharing. There we go. Okay, so I made one like if I was working and I'm making a guide for a client on their traveling to the UK, put all the resources I want in there. And then I made like some kind of educational infographics about the UK for 2026 tourism, things that might be interesting to know about. Even has like a travel toolkit, the rail itinerary if you're doing that. So it's kind of education / travel. It's kind of neat. Uh, do this.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So when you download the PowerPoint decks, it actually shows up in the deck as each slide is just an image. So you can't edit it once you download it. You got to do all the editing in Notebook.
Yeah, you have to
PowerPoint deck.
re-prompt it. Although I thought there was a new revise. It's basically still another prompt. Everything is image based in here for infographics and videos and audio. So you can't go, it's not like on-screen editing. I think it made another one here for me that I asked some different questions. So, and then it's making videos take like 10 minutes, by the way. So it's still making videos. The tech stuff only takes like a minute. So it's not like it doesn't generate like Claude does like a regular PowerPoint or image that's editable, but you can re-prompt it and then it'll redo it for you. So I did this all just now. And then you can so even in the middle you can get more research done just by talking with the chat box in the middle. So now it's a UK travel guide chatbot with outputs. Other questions on that? Okay. Yeah, the accessibility thing is a big issue because for all of the visual content created in AI, it's a little different so Google does image-based stuff, and like I said, Microsoft and Claude do regular things that look like PowerPoint. You can go and edit them like we're used to doing.
I want to show you an example. So this is something I created in Notebook AI. So it's an image and you can see how detailed it is. It's actually a very detailed infographic. But then I just pulled it in and I gave the prompt, can you create an accessible text-based version of this infographic? And it went through and it read all the content and it put it into a Word file for me. So that's how I handle accessibility is I just combine the two. And for people who can, who have the ability to use this version, they use that version. And then if not, there's the accessible version. And it only took like 10 seconds for it to create this. Okay.
All right.
So that's Notebook. The next power move is creating what on the accessibility is a lot of times I spend a lot of times trying to come up with alt tags, which is very difficult to get for me to do because again, I'm very verbose. So this is a universal prompt you can use to make alt tags for your diagram. So you just upload and add a diagram, attach it to your chat, and then say, give me a concise alt tag under 120 characters or less. And if you go to the next slide, there's an example of a chart that I uploaded. I put in that prompt and I asked for both the alt tag and the description, and that is what I got. The great thing about this prompt is if it's a process, the AI tool knows it's a process, so it'll talk about well, this one does. It says what the arrows mean. So it says the arrows clearly map a customer traffic flow path starting from the entrance. So it figured all that out. I've actually uploaded some very complex process or flowchart diagrams, and it does an excellent job in the description of capturing the essence of that image. And what the beautiful thing about that description is it explains what the user should into how it should interpret this image, not only what's in it, but how it should be interpreted.
I love it.
Yeah. Okay, so that's how you can use it as an instructor. Now we're going to shift to how you can start using AI with your students. So how many of you are encouraging your students, overtly encouraging them or assigning things for them to use AI in your class? Okay, this is great. So we have a range of use. Okay, I'll go to the next slide. We're going to show you, it's important to really start using it. And again, you can put guardrails about how it gets used by students from very little with very strict guidance all the way to letting them be very creative and doing their own thing. But the reason why it's important is because almost every employer now is expecting college students to be AI ready. And what they really mean when they say that generally is that they understand basic AI literacy, what AI tools are, what AI concepts are. They're fluent in being able to do prompt crafting or enter prompts and get good outputs. And that they understand, like if they're if they're using data, they understand the data fundamentals and how AI is processing that data and giving them the results. They understand ethics and governance related issues. They know how to verify what AI is giving them and do fact checking and manage sort of that human AI interaction so that they're not letting AI completely take over what's being done. And so those are the key competencies that every graduate entering the workforce is expected to have. Want to say anything more on this, Rena?
Yeah, it did, because all my kids are in their 30s and all their jobs completely changed. And some are like super hands-on, like production in LA, but they still have to do plan. They use Figma, they do planning and flow charting and budgeting, hiring, pulling film permits, and all of that. They're organizing and optimizing, and they do use AI tools in those processes,
Yeah.
sending out emails to people. Gosh, a lot of different stuff. So it's even the hands-on jobs have those elements where they're still expected to use it.
Yeah, later in a few minutes, we're going to get into specifically in these industry sectors, so these are sort of the basic skills every student should have. And then there's the industry specific ones, which we'll get into in a minute. But one of the concerns faculty mostly have is that, they're going to use AI to short change or short circuit their own learning. So this is a good prompt to use to give to students if you just want to get started using AI, is as a problem solver. So where they try to do something on their own first, they get stuck. They explain to the AI tool what they've tried already and where they're getting stuck and what they want AI to help them learn as a result. And so this is like we said, a great prompt to get started with. And I'm going to put it in the chat too.
Right.
So if you want to put yourself in the shoes of a student, you can run this prompt. And I'll give you an example. I've been using, I'm going to use this one. As an example. And I'll run it in ChatGPT or in Copilot.
You want me to stop sharing?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, so I just put myself in the shoes of I think this is a fashion merchandising student, and I'm stuck on a inventory problem, and it says what you tried, what's missing, how you could think different conceptually, and what formula I should have used. So see how it's interacting with me more as a tutor than answering the question with me, for me. So if anybody's tried a prompt for their area, if you want to share that, we'd really appreciate that.
The cool part about that is it knows you're trying to learn something and answer different.
Yes.
But instead, you didn't have to go in any special mode or anything. Just
Yeah, that prompt worded it in a way that help me figure this out rather than giving me the answer.
Love that.
Okay, you want to move on, and if people want to share in the chat, that'd be great. All right, so we have a student AI use scenarios and guidelines. Again, this one is specific to this pathway, but I did give you a link to all of the 8 pathways. So you'll find scenarios that you can use in each of the discipline areas that you might be in. But it walks students through, what's good prompting, what's bad prompting, why you don't want to use AI to as a shortcut. It helps them make decisions about should they use AI for a particular assignment or not. So it's a great handout with links on guidelines for students. And here are some other ways that you can use AI to get started with students as a tutoring buddy, a study partner, help them writing with reports and communications and doing some walk through problem solving and analysis. And we've put those all in those documents that you have links to. Those are in that drive that we gave you a link to at the very beginning of our session.
Yeah, there's a lot of prompts in there for all of these areas. But if you have a question on any other ones or other types of prompts for this, let us know.
And in this assignments one, we've gone through assignments all the way from simple assignments up to semester-long projects. So there's lots of examples in there too of how you could use AI with your students. And then here's some more resources you can give. We have a prompting guide for students. We also have this, what we call a stoplight guide that takes them from not using AI at all. For example, they wouldn't want to use it when they're taking an exam, all the way up to where they're using it and how to disclose their use and how to reference it. That flowchart is a decision tool for them as to when to use and not use AI. Then we have 2 free courses, one on getting started with AI for students, which takes them through some using AI, some of the basic free AI tools. And then we have the AI information literacy for college students course. We have many faculty who are assigning these courses either as required or as extra credit for their students. And students earn a certificate. They can download that certificate and turn it in. And like I said, for extra credit, however you want, but those are all these resources are free for students.
Well, Victor has a great example. He ran the prompt and sounded like you got a good result, Victor. What did you think?
Yeah. Do you think it was something you would use with students?
You can unmute if you want.
Hi,
So,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, it is the kind of thing I might use for students. Only, again, I would probably, if I just use it as was, I would clarify I was using AI because I know some of my students would not like that I was using it for class materials. Otherwise, I would probably take it and then try to rewrite it and simplify it for their feedback.
Yeah. That's a great point about disclosing, the first one about disclosing AI use, how you used it, for what purpose. We do that on all our materials. We disclose how we've used it. And of course, we refine everything. I have never taken something AI gave me and not changed it to make it my own or refined it in some way. So that's always one of the processes is to reiterate and then obviously put it in your own voice and what you want for your students and then disclose that you used it. So
Yeah,
good points.
another way, like I tend to write stuff and then, as you saw, then put it back in there and ask for an improvement. Sometimes it does it, and sometimes I don't like the improvements.
Okay, now we're going to what industry so we talked about these general skills with students, and now we're going to shift to industry specific skills. So in this pathway and on all the pathways, we've created an AI skills matrix and then a quick reference guide that just has the top 4 skills. So let me quickly go and show you what that looks like. Oops, I opened a different path. Let me go back here. Right. So you can see what the when I went to I went to a different folder. I'll get back in there. Here's the matrix, and I'll share my screen. Okay, so this is what the matrix looks like. So it goes through, we have some universal ones that apply to all programs. So it's like professional customer service, professional communication, that sort of cuts across all. When you see the high, medium, low, that's based on the prevalence of use right now in industry. It tells you what students should be able to do. It gives a work example. It gives a prompt example, what tools they can use, these general tools that they probably have access to. And then the AI tools that are being used in industry to do this similar task is also provided. So as we go down, we go page down, we're going to get into like there's restaurant management, hotel management, event planning. So there's a lot of skills in here in this worksheet for you. And then there's instructions on how to use this worksheet. So that's in there. And a lot of these skills, when I said we created some assignments, we'll show you some prompts in a minute to use. It's pulling these skills into those prompts so that students are practicing these skills while they're in programs. We have assignments for them in your resources.
Yeah, there's a lot there. And if you don't like these prompts, that's fine. But it's some examples, and then you can take those and put them back in Copilot or Gemini or ChatGPT, whatever, and make it, or just rewrite them. But they're just some examples, a lot of examples in all the areas in LA in this pathway. Any questions about that?
Okay, then the second document that was on that slide is a summary. It summarizes everything that's in this Excel spreadsheet. So if you just want a quick little reference guide, you can use the Word document. If you want the full matrix, you can use that. Okay. That's that quick reference guide.
This one.
Okay, now we're going to go to, I'm going to upload this handout, or actually probably easier if I give you a link to it. Let me upload it. There's prompts in here for every discipline at the beginner, intermediate, and advanced level. And
There it is.
and so in this one, we want you to find a prompt in there that you like at either level and cut and paste it into your tool and run it. And then try to refine it, try to make it better. So interact with your AI tool to add something to it or change something about it. And then we'd like you to share what your results are. So I put in the chat the one I'm running.
I can share mine whenever I did it in
Sure.
advance. But it came out really cool. Let's see how I show both sides of it. So I put in an advanced prompt on allergies from that worksheet into Gemini, and then it gave me a whole bunch of stuff about allergies, a whole list here on making substitutions for allergies. And then I just asked it, I changed it to Canvas and I asked it to make an app. So now I have the Allergen Adaptation Lab. So I'm someone who has allergies, so this is like personal interest. So now instead of, let's say, whatever I'm allergic to, milk or whatever, I can take a recipe and then reformulate it based on the allergy. So then I would I'd probably go and iterate from here, but it's pretty cool. It just did that. And all I had to do was change the bottom to, if I can make this bigger, I just changed it to Canvas and it just did it. I just said, let's make an app for this. That's all my prompt was. After the first one I copied from the worksheet.
That's great. Was that an advanced prompt that you used?
Yeah.
Or
Yes,
okay.
it was an advanced
Uh-huh.
prompt. It was the one on it did a science of allergen adaptation. So it was in advance. The 1st
I'll
one I
share-
saw.
Yeah, I'll share mine, and I did a beginning prompt. So my output was pretty simple, but it basically the prompt was create a guide for students on. So I created a document that they could use as a reference guide on Baker's percentages. And it just created a simple little guide because again, it was a beginning prompt, but still it's pretty, of course, I double check the figures, I look at it, maybe rewrite it a little bit, but it's definitely usable.
You did that in Copilot?
I did this one in Gemini and I used the
Mhm.
free Gemini version with nothing fancy.
Wow. The
Yeah.
formatting is getting way better.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that table.
And I do find it's very interesting when I tell it who the audience is, it'll change the fonts. So it chose a font that it thought would appeal to students. If it's a professional thing, it'll, sometimes it'll, like if I say a grant, if I'm working on grants, it usually puts it in Times New Roman. So it sort of now knows, your audience or the purpose, and it'll choose a format and a style for that. You used to have to tell it to do all those things, and now it just does it. Okay, if anybody wants to share what they ran, that would be great. Can't get us back. They want to share their screen, or if you want to type something in the chat.
Not, you're going to make me share again. Well, I did another one that it's a menu designer. So I just said, let's make a very artistic agent for menu creation. Make sure the agent makes beautiful menus and has options for allergies like vegan and gluten-free. So did the research and I iterated on it. I wanted it to have some creative things on the bottom. So it changed, so I could change the typography and the look and all that. Include substitution. So there's a lot of research that kind of went into this. But I have the culinary conductor now, so I can do a menu. The one they suggest is fun, but I put Kyoto, and I asked it to do more menu items than it started with. Kyoto Fusion, something fun, and then compose. I asked it to do at least 20 menu items, so it will go through and do that. And then I've got refinements. I got different versions I can see. So I wanted to have choices, so it's going to go through now and make a big menu. So I've used a shorter prompt again, and it just seems to work really good. So there we go. Then I could go through and have another one to make all the recipes and then recipe substitutions and all of that from that other prompt I did. That's my sharing.
Okay,
All right.
I forgot
Thanks,
where we
Victor.
were in our, what's coming next.
Oh, yeah, I'll get back there. Okay. Oh, yeah. So now we have a whole bunch of really cool examples.
Yeah. So this one, there's the prompt I used, which is I wanted an image. So this is when you're teaching, it's hard to find. I used to spend hours looking for that perfect image that I was wanting to. Now I don't do that. You can just go right into one of these tools and ask it to create an image. This one was on the 10 color swatches that are typically used in coloring, and it just made it for me. And then my next step would be to pull this image or right there while I'm at it, I don't even pull it. I always follow up with a follow-up prompt saying, now create an alt tag and a description of this that I can use for accessibility. So you have all three. You got the image, you got your alt tags, and you got your description you can use.
I mean, that's a good point because up until now, or a couple years ago, like in instruction, like you would be pulling stuff like from a textbook or in Google or somewhere. But I think a lot of folks have switched to making your own images based on the way that you teach, which is kind of nice because you're not stuck with kind of what's out there already.
Okay, this next one is the using AI to create a tutor for your students. And I just basically said, here's a concept that our students typically struggle with. Can you take on the role of a tutor? Don't give them, at the bottom it says, don't give them a full explanation. Check for understanding at each step. And there's a link to that one in there. But it's just a simple little prompt. And now you've got a tutor. And I did this one in Gemini. And then you can share it with your students. Another example, you've seen some of these that Rena has shown, is creating a interactive activity. And this one, I asked it to create it as a web page so I could share it as a web page. By the way, all of these prompts, I didn't write this detailed prompt. I asked AI to write it for me. So I said, this is what I'm trying to do. I want a web page and I want him to practice retail math. Give me a prompt I can give to you to create this activity. And this is what it gave me. But you can see it's doing, Rena showed you some very simple prompts. So sometimes I'll just start with a simple prompt like she showed and get a really cool tool. And if it's not quite what I want, then I'll ask AI to provide me with a prompt that I can use to build the tool. And there's a link to that practice tool in there. There's two ways to share. Do you have to have one of these open so you can show them how you would share this with your student?
Sure, yeah. Well, this is actually a good time to
So
talk about
yes, you can
differences.
embed it in Canvas.
Yeah.
That's the next question.
So it depends on the sharing. It depends on how your IT sets things up. On this version that I have, I can share a link and create a link and just copy this link, and then anybody that clicks it can get to my little application. Now, not all of them have a share. That sometimes the share is turned off. It's turned off for students is on their apps on things that are coded like this because the school doesn't want to host all the student stuff to share, which is fine because usually they're making stuff for class, and so we can go in there and they can either share the code and I can see it then I can put it in mine and see it, or they can share like the HTML or whatever, or they can they can host it in a different way or just share the HTML file. Or sometimes even my students that they have ChatGPT or Claude or something, they can just move the code over there and then rebuild it. It'll look different, but that's just another workaround. So the share button may be on or off in these apps, depending on if it's school provided student or if you're a professional in your institution. But in ChatGPT or regular Gemini, not Gemini EDU, and Claude, and all the free ones, they all have a share button, and you can just share. Again, if you go to the code, you copy all the contents, you can just it'll save the HTML file. That's another way to do it. And you can open it on your desktop.
Yeah. If you share it that way with the file, just tell students to right click on the file and then set open with, and they would open it with their browser, like Google or Bing or whatever browser they use, and it'll open up in that browser and they can interact with it that way.
And they're all pretty much the same. So people end up that do a lot of sharing end up having one app somewhere. It might just be using Copilot or where they can share stuff with other people if they're doing a lot of it. But all of the other things, like if you're just doing say you're not making an app, you can always share links. You can download anything that you generate, text, images, infographics, things like that. You can download all of that stuff. Any questions on that? Yes, so Susan, it does provide a link that you can put into Canvas, but what I do is totally different. So I'm going to explain it since Canvas is off. And this is something that we taught last week, but it's worth kind of repeating. That code, what you do if you're going to do an interactive thing like that, you ask it to create something in HTML. And so do I have time to show that for a sec, Marcy?
Yeah.
Okay. I can just do it in Gemini. I'll just do my quick demo here. So let's do a new chat. Let's just make a. Yeah, I'm gonna just make something really fast here. So I'm gonna make some code. Oh, but wait, let me stop that. I want
Yeah.
to say in HTML. So you
Yeah.
got to tell it this in order to be Canva compatible because Canva it's a greater than or lesser sign under the block where you can paste stuff. And you're going to paste this code in there and it'll display whatever it is that it's making. So it's going to display this. All I have to do is take this whole thing, copy the contents, and put it right into Canva in the greater than or less than sign. That's where you put HTML code. You just copy it in there, and then when you click that again, you're going to see this in your Canva. So anything that you make, but you need to tell it to make HTML, otherwise it'll start using other types of coding that's not compatible with Canvas. I'm now mixing up my terms.
Yeah, you're saying.
LMS. Sorry about that. But I use it a lot. So I make test your knowledge interaction so they can see, you can test what's based on the modules that I build. I make, all kinds of different interactions that are helping students to learn. And actually, they also learn how to make their own interactive content by the end of it because I share that I do that using AI to do that, but it's right there embedded in Canva. So they don't see the code, they're just going to see whatever you build.
Okay,
All right.
next slide.
Hopefully that answers that question. All right.
And that brings us to that one. You can see how I said HTML page. So
Ah.
that's what Rena just demoed. Because you can, like she said, I usually ask for HTML because it gives me many more options for sharing it. Including that, what I talked about, you can give it to a student as a file and they can right click on it. So when things are down, you have the ability to pull it up in a browser and as well. So you have much more flexibility. Okay, next slide. This is an actual simulation where they're being asked to. I think this one is for pricing and it walks them through a whole simulation, and depending on how the students interact with it, it'll change the scenario. So it's smart enough to know that if I click on one thing or I answer one thing a certain way, could you click on that link? Or I actually have
I can't, or can I?
it.
I think I can, and then I just need to reshare it in.
That's okay. I got it.
Okay.
I'll share it. Share. I got it open. So it looks a little bigger.
Yeah.
Oh, wrong one. Let me go to this one. There it is.
Yeah. Cool.
Is it this one? Yeah, it's this one. So it runs them through. I don't think that's the right one, but basically how the student interacts with it, it'll give them different responses. And again, there's the code. So I could share it that way as well. Okay, I'll stop sharing. You can bring up the next slide. I think the next slide is this briefing. This is a real world example.
But I found this. It's so cool. I wanted to see how
Yeah.
it works.
Oh, okay, there it is.
Yeah.
So you drag and drop the triage things into whether or not it should go and hold or monitor or act now.
Oh,
They, and then you submit.
see. Or do I have to put them in different
I think
categories?
you do. I think you have to finish.
Oh, I have to put them all in there. Oh, okay.
Yeah, they all have to
Yeah,
go
I
in a
need to-
bucket and then
Okay.
you
Oh,
submit
there we
it.
go. Oh,
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. Then it gives you a score and but that simple prompt created all of this.
Wow. I like that.
Yeah.
I like stuff where you can input it like that. That's really great.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
And then I think the last example is where you can give students a real world scenario. And this one was creating a briefing document. So you're a shift manager at a hotel, and you've got all these things going on. Things start to fall apart really quick. And you're basically asking it to create a pre-shift briefing that you would give to the staff to prepare for all these things that are happening that day at the
I'll share
and
that
then
one.
it created this great little document. So there it is. I did this one in Claude.
This is
I use
nice.
Claude a lot.
It has great, it looks great, like easy
Yeah.
to follow. Pool's closed. This is great. I like it. It brings all your
Yeah.
problems all together and then looks at them all.
And it gives them a time by time breakdown on what they need to do.
Oh my gosh,
God, that would have taken hours to create.
that's a lot. Yeah. Huh. Yeah, no, it's
God, Matt, I actually, if I was still a VP, I'd do this for the start of the semester, you know. On Monday, we do this, and at 8 a.m. we need that, and
yeah,
it'd be great. Okay.
it's really nice. Okay. Yeah, okay, here.
We end the deck, so those are, keep going. We'll skip this one. We gave that to you. So all this is just to say, you know, AI is a good tool to start using with their students. There's so much they can do that's beyond just writing responses to questions to get them start thinking creatively about and practicing skills that industry is now wanting of graduates coming into the, and then many of them are going into business for themselves. So there's lots of skills they can learn around managing their own businesses. And then we won't go into these because we're short on time, but we've provided you with all kinds of learning outcomes that you can use that are AI related to start to input into your program. So we have a whole outcomes library. So we went program by program. We have them at the institutional level, the program level, down to the course level in that library for you. And then we also have a guidebook that walks you through if you want to start to integrate AI into your programs. There's 3 different levels of strategies. One is just to infuse it into a regular course. Strategy 2 is around creating dedicated modules. And then strategy 3 is creating an entirely new course. That's sort of a heavy lift, and it may not be necessary. You know, you may just want to add a few skills here and there or modules here and there. And it's probably sufficient given your industry to do that. So we've put together this curriculum planning book, how to integrate AI into your program. And that is specific to this pathway. So if you want examples for other disciplines and other pathways, you'll have to go into one of those other pathway folders. The integrating AI into CTE program facts, that's related to all CTE programs, and same with that syllabi one. We have sample syllabi language around the use of AI, both by the instructor and by the students, and that is general to all CTE programs as well. So the key takeaways from this workshop were that, you know, AI is being used already in industry. Students need AI skills to be employable. You can start real small, which we did in this workshop. We had some very simple prompts to begin with, and all the way up to creating really fancy interactive simulations with students. And we like to focus on the use of AI. We don't cover how to actually program AI. And so there's a lot you can do without being a programmer. And then your industry partners can help. Matter of fact, I had somebody contact me earlier this week saying, when are you guys doing the workshop for cosmetology? I'm sitting in an industry advisory meeting and they're asking us what we're doing about having students use AI skills, learn AI skills. So they will be asking for it and they can help you build what your students need to know to be successful in the industry. And then last but not least, we like to offer some more free resources. So with this coupon, this LARC1 coupon, you can get access to 2 courses for free. And that's there's links in there to go to those courses. You have to create an Eduvators account, but it's free. And you can delete your account at any time. And this coupon is good for 30 days. So if you want to take 2 free courses, you can. And then that's how to contact us. Feel free to reach out to Rena or myself, either one of us. And we want to stay connected. And we'd like to hear from you. We have a little bit of time left, so we can do some troubleshooting and answer questions, anything you'd like to know at this point.
Yeah, Susan. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
I teach hospitality over at Mount SAC, and one question regarding the different AI platforms. I've actually had some trouble with Chat GBT with math. It actually gets it wrong sometimes because I teach cost control and I love, love, love what you came up with for practice because the students are not math ready these days. You know, the post-pandemic math skills have kind of declined and they're asking for a lot of practice. So I love what you came up with. But I have put things in chat like, can you come up with some additional questions and then give me an answer key? And the answer key was wrong. Like I had to tell it you're wrong. And it said, no, I'm not. And I'll go, yes, you are. And then it would say, oh, yeah, I am. Wrong. So I was wondering if there were different platforms that were better, like Gemini, better with math, better with different.
Yes, can I start with that one?
Yes.
Okay. So let me find my Chrome. We are in these all day. So what I love, I'm using Gemini EDU now, which I'm pretty sure Mount SAC rolled out. You can ask your department or whatever, but when you switch this over to Thinking or Pro, which we have in the EDU account, it will. I like Gemini for numbers. Why? Because it has Gemini Sheets, so I know it understands spreadsheets and numbers. It has connections to the real world like maps and YouTube and all that. So I don't personally use ChatGPT for anything with math or numbers. I stick with Gemini, and we have it free from our school, but I do switch it to Thinking or Pro to get those. See, it says Advanced Math Code with 3.1 Pro. So that's the one you want to use, and you should, if you have that available, I would definitely try it there, and I can almost guarantee you're going to get different results.
I was going to say the same thing. It depends if you're still going to use ChatGPT, use the more advanced models. So look for the more advanced model. If you're using the fast mode, that's probably why you're getting the wrong answers. The other thing is in my prompt, I'll ask it to triple check your answers. They must be accurate. Or I do a 2-prompt sequence. I'll have it write it, and then I'll say, now act as a math expert who's auditing this exercise. Make sure it's done correctly, and it'll find, like you did. You've made mistakes, correct it. It'll correct it. So those are things you can put in the prompts to make sure you're getting accurate results. But like Rena says, be sure to choose the more advanced models that are good at complex reasoning or computation. I'll say that in the description.
You know what, now that you bring it up, that's probably my issue because I just recently saw the different levels. So I will switch, and thank you for this because I thought I was using AI a lot and now I realized I'm not. So my other question is when you are building, I mean, you're building some content for your Canvas. So with OER, and I'll check with my team too, but I know you said that you give AI credit is there a particular way we need to give credit if they've come up with content, or is that different than using other OER resources that, you know?
So Rena, you want to cover basically you're asking two things, I think. One is about who owns the intellectual property of what gets created. So Rena, you'll answer that. And then we have a guide on how to cite AI use. I'll find the link to that and put it in the chat so you can have that guide.
Yeah, so
Thank
you
you so
can
much.
create those materials from any AI and put them in your Canvas, either, download and paste in there. I usually just drag things like infographics and all that, or words. And then I cite them, create it in ChatGPT, create it in, whatever I'm doing. And then there's a little citation, the name of the app in the year. It's pretty simple, the APA citation. And you can't, they're available for education. If you're gonna do something where you're trying to sell that's a whole different story, like what's copyrightable. Things that you create and then use it to help you edit, you can copyright, but things where you didn't do anything other than prompt, that's not copyrightable.
Very good. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
I'm putting that link in here, but I'll show you really quickly where all our free resources are, which is where I found this. Let me share my screen because many of you might find you want to use. You might be looking for other resources. So this is what I just shared with you, and you can go there to download it. But in our Learning Hub, we have this whole free resources section. And this is where if you scroll down, you'll find free courses, AI tools, free videos. And this was a digital resource. So any checklist, handout, things like that, we have there. And we have over 100 guides, checklists. And this is the one I just gave you a link to, this citing AI generated content. But here's a student guide to evaluating. You can see here's a checklist. So there's a whole slew of resources in here that you may want to find at a later date.
And then we also make that easy for you with the Lark AI Learning Library. All of these trainings are recorded and they are posted there. Then any of the resources that are shared during the training, they are linked in the description of that training video. So you can always go back there and watch and not have to worry that you forgot where you put some of those resources or you forgot to bookmark a link. Everything is all there, easy to access for you. And I'd like to thank Dr. Walzinger and Marcy Drummond for sharing your expertise and making this so fun and informative. If you learned something today, please type yes in the chat. We have also added in the chat our upcoming training sessions that are on accessibility. Those are very important with everything needing to be compliant by April 2027. This is a 4-part learning series that targets different campus populations. So those who are working with student services, marketing, faculty, and beyond. So please do share that and plan to attend. Wish everyone a wonderful weekend, and we hope to see you at our future AI training events. Thank you very
Thanks so
much,
much.
everyone.
Thanks, Judy.
Bye.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you. Bye.